Welcome to the Two Girls and a Cup of Wellness podcast. I'm Marie. I'm a nurse practitioner committed to whole health care and helping my patients live vibrantly.
And I'm Chrissy, a yogi, breast cancer thriver, author of For the Love of Jugs, and guide for the mind, body, heart, soul healing. Together, we will empower you with integrative tools and real conversations. So grab your cup and dive into wellness with us. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another Two Girls and a Cup of Wellness podcast. This is Chrissy.
And I'm Marie.
And
today we're talking about vitamin D.
Again.
Because we are special.
Tell the story. Yes.
And we have an issue with wires and we didn't have them connected properly. So then when we watched our 30-minute episode, there was no sound.
So here we are.
So it happens.
Yeah,
but that's
exactly.
okay.
We go with the flow.
It wasn't meant to be that day.
Right, exactly. Maybe something we said wasn't meant to be heard. And now here we are again. So I'm excited to
Chrissy's very excited.
Talk about this conversation. I am excited all the time.
It's a good one. It's a big hot topic. Vitamin D being low is something everybody wants to talk about right now.
So clearly we're going to talk about vitamin D today and talk about where we get it from, how to supplement with it, what are some of the deficiencies, and really hopefully leave you feeling a little bit more educated and knowledgeable on what you can do to check your vitamin D
blood levels,
yes.
Right? So we'll go ahead and start by saying that this deficiency is affecting 1 billion people worldwide, which is crazy.
Wow.
And there's a lot of contributing factors. People are indoors more and kids aren't getting outdoors because they have wonderful gadgets and technology that they get addicted to. So they're not outside in the sun. Obesity plays a factor as well.
Yeah.
I was reading the other day, actually, after we filmed this, that the vitamin D can actually get trapped once it's activated and hits your skin. It can get trapped in fat cells and not get to where it needs to go.
Wow.
So that's interesting as well. Some other things are if you have a medical history such as Crohn's and you have absorption issues or you've had surgeries, age, as we get older, we don't have that tissue under our skin that really has all that cutaneous epidermal. I'm super geeky right now.
Love it.
Activation processes. So let's see, sun exposure, depending on where you live.
Yeah,
talked a lot about seasonal affective disorder. So
yeah, sad. I mean, that's what people hear about that. And it's the seasonal affective disorder, this disorder that if you live in an area where you have less hours in the sun, it's too cold, so you don't go outside more, it can start to bring on these depressive feelings, right? And low feelings and not wanting to get out and do things. And we don't really quite know if it was the chicken or the egg. Is it the lack of vitamin D that makes people not want, to feel sad and to feel like they don't have the energy? Or is it the depression of just being cold and I don't want to get outside that makes the vitamin D become less and less in the body and how we absorb it? So we don't really know which way it is, but we do know that both of them play a factor in that seasonal affective disorder. And we're recording this in the winter time. We're here in Florida, so we don't really experience that, but this has been a really very cold and dark for us winter. So even for myself, I have felt kind of a little sluggish and not as motivated to get up and out of the house early and get my workouts on, which is kind of interesting. So I can see how effective that could be for people up north, right? And that are further and further away from the equator, because it is known that people closer to the equator have higher vitamin D levels, right? Just naturally. Right. And obviously they're out in the sun more. But thankfully today it's a beautiful day.
It is a beautiful day.
So
it's a good day.
Once we talk, we know, some of the deficiencies, and we'll kind of go in and out of those a little bit more, but how does one get
vitamin D?
Get vitamin D.
Well, the sun supplements. Sun and supplements,
right?
And food, right? That's another way of supplementing. So the interesting thing about the sun is that you really need to be there when the sun is hitting the earth at a specific degree, right? And when those UVB rays are the highest. And that's scary for a lot of people because skin cancer is the number one cancer in the world. So, however, depending on your skin tone, if you're really, really light or fair, you might only need 5 minutes. And then
That's
after
because you
that,
absorb it
you're
faster.
absorbing it. That sun is hitting the melanocytes in our skin and making that activation process happen. It actually activates with the sun activates with cholesterol. It makes that first step of vitamin D, which then processes through the liver and onto the kidneys and actually becomes a hormone after that.
Mm.
And then it's utilized, helps absorb calcium, and then calcium gets into the body and then is pushed into the bone through vitamin K. So that's that process in a nutshell. But um, you don't now if you're darker skin like you, Chrissy, you're Brazilian,
Cuban.
Cuban.
Yeah.
Okay, potatoes, potatoes.
Right.
Sorry. And I have Italian heritage as well. So in the beginning of the summer, I burn easily, but towards the end of the summer, I don't need as much time. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
And
So,
when we talk about going out in the sun, yes, it does need to be either between 10 and 2 or 11 and 3, depending on where you're at. You
hmm
want to go out there almost in just bathing suit
right,
or as
most of the
least amount
skin
of clothes
exposed.
exactly as possible. And you want to go out there without sunscreen. Now, maybe if you want to put sunscreen on your face or a hat or
hmm
something, that's fine. But you do want to be out there just for that short amount of time with
Yes.
no sunscreen, least amount of clothes, most of your skin showing. And not only is it helping you to create that vitamin D in the body, but it's also just really good for just have that light hit your body. And it's very
hmm
soothing. It's very grounding.
Yeah,
To
that
me,
sounds
it's very
good.
energizing too,
hmm
but not for that long, right? That's
Right,
where
you got
we
to get
can
that
start to
balance.
get
hmm
into trouble, obviously, by being out there too long. You don't want your skin burning. We do like sunscreen as long as it's good sunscreen, but if you can, just 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending on your skin tone,
hmm
get out there. However, if one lives up in the north,
Like Alaska,
right, exactly.
and you're not getting that sun
Yeah.
exposure, how else will you get it? And that's through supplementation,
Mhm.
oil supplementation, or fatty fish. So mackerel, sardines,
Cod, right?
salmon, trout. I
Salmon.
don't know if cod's fatty. I have to
Okay.
look that one up.
Well, I know
But
a long time ago, they would give children cod liver oil.
oh, maybe it's the cod liver
Maybe
oil.
that's yes.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think you're right. So that would definitely help. And egg yolk
Well, what's
is high in
interesting,
vitamin D.
egg yolk, that's an interesting one too.
hmm
I didn't
Other
realize
than
that
other than
before.
fortified foods, which I would try to go the most natural
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. Well, I think that back in the old days,
The olden
back in
times.
the old days with the cavemen and when we were foraging through food, during the winter, they would actually have all of those types of fishes and be able to
Mhm,
go out and hunt them and bring them back in and eat them. Our food's changing, unfortunately, right?
mhm.
So it is a little hard to get everything through our food nowadays. So that's where the supplement
It's
comes into
it's
play.
true. I had a professor, oh, like 30 years ago when I was in school. Once again, I've always been in school. And I remember he said to me, "Iceberg lettuce today is nothing. The only nutrient in there is pretty much water."
Yeah.
And he said, "But 100 years ago, you would eat that one head of iceberg lettuce and get so many nutrients, and that in today's comparison, you have to eat 100 heads of lettuce
Oh,
in one
wow.
day, and nobody's
Wow.
gonna do that. So we have depleted our soil of minerals and nutrients. So I bet that the cavemen, although they didn't live that long, they were
Yeah.
attacked by a,
Fair.
tiger.
Saber-tooth claw.
They were probably a lot healthier than us. It would've been lovely to get a sample of their blood and check their vitamin
Mhm.
D.
Now, with vitamin D, I
Mhm.
know that there are some do's and don'ts when taking vitamin D. Well, first of all, let's come back a little bit.
Okay.
Should one go get their vitamin D levels tested first before just starting supplementation?
I'm a big advocate for testing, being in medicine. And y it's really hard to become toxic on vitamin D. Toxicity is seen at levels of 400, and I've
Mm,
only ever seen one person over 100, and it was 104 with no side effects. So, I think it's always a good thing, but you can always assume and now and today that most people are deficient or
sure.
low, or at least not optimal. So, you have your lab values and your lab's gonna say 25, that's great, you're in the green, you're normal. But optimal is 70, 80, 90. That's where we're
Well,
seeing those anti-cancer effects, that apoptosis towards tumor cells, and those are some of those wonderful things. The mood enhancement starts to happen at between levels 50 and 70. So even if you are deficient, you're not gonna reap any of those benefits if you're just over that one level of 25 or 26,
Right,
whatever
right.
that lab value is for that testing
And
site.
so taking a supplementation, vitamin or, I don't know, is it can you get drops too?
Yeah, so for people that have absorption issues, they can take it sublingually under the tongue. It depends on someone's gut health, intestinal health, do they have Crohn's disease? So, yeah,
Okay.
and then you had talked last time when we messed up about D3 and D2 that it's from plant-based sources and animal, which I didn't know about.
Yeah, yeah. So I had learned that there's a couple different types of vitamin D. There's D3 and there's D2. And D3 is really the important one that we want to get. Both of them are good though, but the D3 is I think where we're
It's
starting to
that
see.
bioavailability form. So
Yeah.
right. It's all conjugated down to that level that's used.
Okay.
Mhm.
And however, for any of my plant based friends, vegan friends, vitamin D3 is animal based. As of right now, there are no vitamin D3 plant based options. The plant based ones are vitamin D2. So again, vitamin D2 is going to have some beautiful benefits as well, but I think D3
It'll
is
break
more
down
where
the
it's at.
body into the D3.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So keep that in mind. I had heard that somebody who was a Hasidic Jew was supposed to be given this type of vitamin D3 and they were a little unsure, can they take it or not? But I have heard in certain religions, and maybe even if, plant-based versus animal-based, uh,
Mhm.
sometimes you got to just take it for what it's worth and make the decision that you feel is right for
Right.
you. If it's really
Mhm.
important, then you obviously can make that decision for you.
Right.
Mhm. So,
Okay.
but yeah, yeah, I found that to be very intriguing.
Mhm.
I didn't know that either. So
Yeah. So what are some of the things that can happen when your vitamin D is low? What do you think about?
I think you're lacking in energy.
Mhm.
I think like hormonally you feel off.
Mhm.
I feel maybe bone loss,
Yeah, osteoporosis, osteopenia.
thinning hair,
Mhm. Fatigue.
fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
And immune system.
Oh, right. Hello.
Right.
I should
The
have said that first.
vitamin D is a great advocate and friend of our T cells, our fighter cells in our
Yeah.
immune system. And that's where we're seeing a big role in like infections. If your vitamin D is low, you're more prone to infections. And if it's high, it has a lot of those benefits of angiogenesis and cancer fighting and cancer preventing that cancer replication
Right.
and spread, which is huge.
It's so huge, right? So I think that for all of my cancer friends out there, I wish when I was going through my diagnosis that somebody had said to me, Chrissy, you really should be doing some vitamin D. And I I was under strict rules by my oncologist of not to take any supplement.
Hmm.
I remember asking right before I was getting ready to do chemo, what should I do? Is there any supplements or any foods that I can eat that can help me not only feel good, fight the cancer, also limit some of my side effects? And I was told no, everything in moderation.
Right. Yeah. And
So
that's where an integrative,
integrative.
integrative, I
Yeah.
like the word integrative. And I think we've had this
I mean,
conversation before.
we did, but again, that was probably the last one. But it I like both because an integrative should be.
And you can find these oncologists. I mean, there's Dr. Connolly. She's written a book. She has all sorts of information out there online. And vitamin D is part of her protocol for treatment and prevention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So I think that as doctors are trained and educated more into looking outside of their box that they live in, they're going to learn, hey, this can help this, and these are some better things.
Yeah.
And
So if you're going through cancer or any other type of
mhm,
diagnosis or disease, maybe talk to your doctor or your team of doctors about it to see if it's something that you two
right,
could,
that it
get.
have in your plan.
Absolutely.
Um. So yeah. Anyways, so do you want to talk more about angiogenesis? Because I
Yes.
do love that.
I think that's
So
really important because this is a huge
I
learning lesson,
briefly
I think, for
mentioned
a
it,
lot of people.
and I don't want anybody to say what was that word Marie said. So angiogenesis is the body's natural ability to grow more blood vessels, which we need to do as we change and tissues regenerate. And interestingly enough, cancer cells can do it as well. And they actually secrete to the tumor will secrete tumor secreting factors and it will call our body's own blood vessels to it. And it's crazy, but how smart is that?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
it's learned
It's
how
like
to
it
do
almost
that.
like redirects, right,
Right.
towards the
And it just
cancer
draws
tumor.
it. And that's how we can start spreading. The cancer can say, you know what, I'm really tired of living in the breast. Let's now go to the bones.
Mhm.
Right. So that's how metastasis can happen. Right. And then it implants its little secreting factors and cells into the blood vessels and then it can travel to a new site. So anti angiogenesis is the process of making that stop. And there's a wonderful TED talk that we are going to have to link onto here
'Kay.
about a physician who talks about this and all the ways that we can prevent that from happening, primarily through food intake, berries, polyphenols, nuts, legumes, different factors that are
Flavonoids,
in
when flavonoids, is that yeah?
flavonoids. Yes. So different foods that have the compounds that will stop this. I think it's like a cup of blueberries, wild blueberries every day can do all these different things. So that's, I think, really, really wonderful. Now, so the vitamin D also inhibits that process.
Mm.
So having your vitamin D levels above 70, above 80, and there's been some new research with apoptosis. That's another one of my favorite words, which is basically apoptosis. Just think
Apoptosis.
about popping it, popping that tumor with breast cancer coming out of Europe that's showing when your vitamin D levels are optimal, 80 or above, it is actually breaking apart tumor cells. And I think that's amazing for breast and colon, which is huge. We're seeing
Wow.
colon cancer now in 30-year-olds, which is wild.
Yeah.
And you have to believe it's all diet related when you see a 30-year-old with colon cancer.
I wanna come back to the optimal levels because I think what optimal means for somebody more in the integrative approach and functional medicine approach as opposed to maybe Western world, the optimal levels are different. So when we get blood work drawn and our doctors look at our blood and the levels and everything,
Hmm.
green, 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 maybe a couple yellows, green, 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 right? But if I were to take that to a different doctor in the functional medicine world, I have heard multiple times that the numbers that they're looking at are very average and they're not
Right.
optimal,
An
right?
average for a population. So you're going to take everybody from this age all the way to this age, all of America. We're going to say that's the average. But maybe we don't want to be average. And that's not in all lab values. But when you're talking about vitamins, I don't want to be average. I want my vitamin level to be high in certain vitamins because then I'm getting some of the anti cancer or immunity effects of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not for everything,
Right,
but
exactly.
vitamin D is a big one.
Yeah. And I think too, knowing how your body absorbs all the vitamins that we're taking.
Hmm.
How does somebody know if they're consuming all of these supplements and vitamins and minerals, how can we tell that our body are is absorbing these or our bodies are
Well, you
absorbing
can
them?
go for lab testing
Right.
to see that our levels are elevated.
Okay.
Right? And then you should also notice that you're for feeling better, or if you're getting lots of infections, that those start to go away. If your osteopenia, now you're reversing it, and that would be through a DEXA scan or this a urine test that you can see if you're urinating calcium. And I think it's NX. I can't remember exactly.
Mhm.
I can't remember everything.
She tries though.
I
She's pretty
really
damn good at it,
try.
but can't remember
But,
everything.
um, another thing that is interesting I forgot to mention with low vitamin D is they're linking it now to a lot of autoimmunity.
Oh,
So,
that makes sense. If
multiple
it's so tied to the immune
sclerosis,
system,
you're thinking
then
lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, and we're seeing a lot and lot like Parkinson's, a lot more of that. When I was living in Chicago, it was really, really dark all the time in the winter and gray, and we never got outside. And when I became pregnant with Faith, my husband Paul was really concerned because his sister has multiple sclerosis. And my mother in law truly believes that living in Scotland and being pregnant, she possibly may have had a low vitamin D at that time. So, a low vitamin maternal D can affect your unborn child,
mm,
possibly.
mhm.
So, with autoimmunity. So, Paul bought me a happy light. So, I had to sit in front of the light have my coffee and Harry was little and he'd say, Mommy's in the happy light. And but now I know that those lights actually don't affect vitamin D at all, that they do affect that serotonin regulation and the decrease in melatonin.
And I was gonna say that sometimes that placebo effect, right? Placebo effect meaning we think that we're getting something or our brain is thinking one thing even though it's not happening, it's starting to rewire our neurons in
Mhm.
our head and actually things are starting to happen in our bodies. So it could very much be you're sitting in this chair, I'm making this my happy light, and I am thinking that this light is going to do all kinds of amazing things to my body. And then guess what? It's putting you in a different energetic
Yeah, the
state. And
body's
of
powerful
course,
and the mind's powerful, so who
absolutely.
knows?
Right.
Right.
And that, coming back to the seasonal affective disorder, there are things that people can do to help shift or hijack,
Yeah.
right, their mind a little bit into
Mhm.
thinking happier thoughts. First of all, is being conscious and aware of when you are being less optimal in your energy,
Mhm.
being less like yourself, recognizing when you just don't have the drive that you used to, and understand that yes, sometimes we do just need to rest. I don't want to downplay that.
Right.
But if you're starting to recognize that this is starting to become a new habit and a new thing, and you're like, I used to always get up early and work out, what's going on? Well, maybe there are certain things that you could do through meditation, through breath work, even through lymphatic work and fascia work to kind of help activate some of those hormones, those happy
Mhm.
hormones in the body, and reduce some of the cortisol and the
The
adrenaline
inflammation,
and the
yeah. I
inflammation.
agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just kind of change your mind a little bit. I was going to say something else, but I'm going to keep it clean.
Well, on a side note, we moved. Illinois
Oh,
was
from
not
that.
our state.
Right, right. Exactly.
But, it was. I mean, we spent 6 to 7 months indoors. My
Yeah.
kids were always sick because I was always taking them to the Children's Museum, and there were boogers everywhere. But, yeah, I didn't after living in Florida and enjoying the sunshine, I didn't wanna lose it. I wanted
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah, yeah. Right, because you already knew the other side of
Right.
it,
And it
right?
yeah.
And think about that too, for everybody who is up north, if they are somebody that is not going to the gym and they're clearly not getting out and going for walks,
Mhm.
they're gonna be a little bit more sedentary. That is playing a lot on their hormones
Absolutely.
too, right? So
Absolutely.
again, is it the chicken or the egg?
We
Is it
don't
the
know.
not doing and that's depleting your vitamin D, or is it the lack of vitamin D is making you that way?
Right.
I'm sure there'll be some more research around that. But in this moment, right here, right now, what we know we could do is take your vitamin D supplements, depending on your levels,
Right? Get out in the
and
sun
get out in the sun if you can.
or eat a bunch of sardines.
Yeah, that sounds. Ugh.
I love Caesar dressing made with sardines.
Ugh,
It's so good.
I
They're all blend
mean,
up in there,
if
yummy and
they're already
salty.
in there, but if it's my choice, I'm going to go no. But
So another thing I wanna talk about before we get off is the VITAL study, and I forget what year it was, early 2000s, and there are these things in our cells called telomeres, right?
Mhm.
And they're let's just think of them at the tip of the shoelace, right? That little hard part. And every time a cell divides, they get shorter and shorter and shorter, and every cell that divides gets shorter and shorter. And when it gets short, that cell dies. So they noticed that when they gave the control group, which is the group that's getting the actual medication, they were giving them 2,000 international units of vitamin D a day, and then the placebo group, which may have been getting a sugar pill. The control group, their immunity cells lived 3 years longer with that 2,000 supplementation a day
Wow.
than the placebo group.
Wow.
So they're from that research article, they're thinking that it might play a role in longevity, having those elevated levels of vitamin D.
Hmm.
So interesting. Again,
Yeah.
they're always every research article is so wonderful at ending. More research needs to be done. I was like, I just read that 12-page paper and I'm bored out of my mind about the R factors and this and that. And at the end, well, this is that is that, but more research needs to be done. I think
Yeah.
that's how they cover themselves or something.
That's the research. It's always going to be changing, and
Hmm.
it's why having these conversations is always going to ebb and flow, and news research and new information is always going to be coming out. We're learning more about how our bodies are actually working,
Hmm.
right? And how they're really designed to heal and to move and to think, and how it to reset. And so with this podcast, I love that we're able to consistently come on here and talk about
Talk about
things and
things.
about the new things coming up,
Right.
um and just give you all the information so
Right.
you can do what
But
you want.
I do recommend that people request at their annual physical a vitamin D test. It's not part of the normal standard. Insurance may not pay for it. It's important to know whether or not your insurance will pay for it because if it won't and it is pushed through the insurance way, you might end up with a lot larger bill than if you went onto one of these self-ordering portals, and there's tons out there. It's really cheap to get a vitamin D test, and then just pay cash for it.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And now would they have like a doctor or something read it for you, or is
Nope,
it just you just know your
it's
levels
yours,
and they're fine?
and it's gonna say on there, "We recommend you speaking to your physician about this." But now you know, you have a baseline, and now you can bring that to your physician and say, "Look, I paid $40 out of my own money to do this vitamin D test, and look, it's low. Now that's a diagnosing code for me, and now I'll always get one paid for by insurance after that."
So
It's a funny
interesting.
game
Yes, yes, that it
that you gotta
is.
play.
That it is. That it is. Well, I know that there was one other funny story that you wanted
Oh,
to
I did, I did, I
share.
did. So, back in 2019, a bunch of social influencers, or whatever they're called, social media influencers went out and promoted anal or butthole sun shining. And it is a
Let's just take a moment there. Anal or butthole sun shining?
so you're a
Who
yogi.
comes up with this
So the best position is gonna be that downward dog naked in your
shit?
backyard and shining it all to the sun. So there's a belief that
And your neighbors that may be
around that
around.
little sphincter, that's another one of my favorite
That's a
words.
great word. Sphincter.
There are a lot of like receptors, these vitamin D receptors, and they're just gonna suck up that sun, and your vitamin D is just gonna shoot right up. I could not.
This is what they were thinking. This is
I never want to discredit anybody. Maybe it's possible, but there is no good evidence based research out there. I duck and duck and duck because I always want to give people the benefit of the doubt.
I would have loved to have seen you on your computer typing in anal sun shining or what butthole sun tanning. What
Be my guest, try it, but warn your neighbors before you go in
wait,
the
oh
backyard.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's very
Do
interesting.
your research. I couldn't find. Hey, find something. Please find something. I want to read it.
But that is a good tip is always do your research because
Hmm.
there's a lot of people out on social media and YouTube and all of these other avenues for us to learn on. And a lot of these people do not have the credentials, the knowledge. They're not taking the time to do the full research. And a lot of things can get
Hmm.
misconstrued. There was the word I was
That's a
looking
good
for.
one. I was going to say, come on.
Yeah, just like I did before. But yeah, so trust your source and know that who you're learning from is has the credentials and
Yeah,
has the knowledge
right,
because there's a lot of stuff out there like that.
right.
And let us know if you find some
Yeah, I want.
research
I
on it.
really want to know. I want to read it.
Right, exactly. So, but
So with that being
so that
said, I
being said,
guess.
okay, if right now some of our listeners were like, what do I do first? Let's give 3 things that we can do to either learn more about our vitamin D, our own levels, or start implementing a new practice to get more vitamin D.
So I
Let's
mean,
just
get
recap.
tested if you can, but
Get
know
tested.
that we're supposed to be in the sun. At, at that minimal amount, it's good
Mhm.
for our body in a lot of other ways as well. So sun over supplementation. I always believe in the most natural source first,
Yeah,
right?
beautiful. Yeah. So testing and then sun
Sun and then
supplement.
supplementation, and then if not, just eat a whole bunch of cans of sardines. Chrissy's favorite.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And, another thing too, just kind of from an emotional standpoint, like starting your day with the sun, right?
Hmm.
When the sun comes up, getting up and
So that
just
morning sun, like I said before, it's going to turn that melatonin off, right? Depress that, and it stimulates the serotonin. So, and there's something beautiful about facing your face to the sun in the
yeah,
morning. I think it's almost spiritual, and it's. I love doing it
very
when I get out
grounding.
there and I do. I did it today, but it was cloudy. I was like,
Yeah. I know, but it is. It's like putting your
but
feet in
it's
the earth
really
and just
yeah.
standing there. And it's appreciating that here we are for another day and really
Hmm.
taking a moment to be appreciative of
Right.
that. So that's really important as well. So, well,
All right,
this
everybody.
was
Yeah,
wonderful
and
information.
hopefully we had our wires in correctly.
Yeah. Hopefully you can
If not,
hear
we're
us
just
this
talking
time.
for fun.
Whatever. We have fun regardless. So here we are. It's all good. So,
All right, everybody. Have a great week.
yes, thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.